What you're about to hear are 8 psychological traits that the most resilient, strategically intelligent people share. These aren't theories. These are patterns I've observed in how real people navigate real situations, betrayal, competition, power, and pressure. Before we get into it, drop this in the comments right now. I choose to be strategically intelligent, not emotionally reactive. Say it like you mean it, because by the end of this, you will 1. Calculated opacity. Stop telling people everything. Here's a habit most people have that quietly destroys their influence. They over-explain. Someone asks what you're up to this weekend. You say, "Oh, I'm just staying home. Maybe catching up on Netflix. Nothing exciting." You're being honest. You think you're being relatable, but what you're actually doing is making yourself forgettable and predictable. Machiavelli wrote something that stuck with me. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Very few experience what you really are. The most intriguing people you know don't tell you everything. They answer questions with questions. They smile when you expect them to explain. They leave enough of a gap that your brain automatically tries to fill it in, and the story your brain creates is almost always more compelling than the truth would have been. That's not deception. That's strategic communication. There's a difference. When you say, "I have something important I'm taking care of," instead of narrating your whole weekend, you've done something subtle but powerful. You've made people curious about you. Curiosity creates interest. Interest creates attention. Attention creates influence. Your information is currency. Every time you overshare, you spend it all in one shot and walk away broke. The people who maintain influence in any room, at work, in relationships, in negotiations, are the ones who are selective about what they say and when they say it. Practice this. Next time someone asks you a question, answer it, but don't finish the thought. Leave one thing unsaid. See what happens. If this kind of content hits different for you, the psychology, the strategy, the stuff nobody else is talking about, hit subscribe before we go deeper, because what's coming next in this series is going to challenge everything you think you know about power and human behavior. 2. Adaptive persona. Different room, different you. There's a version of you that talks to your grandmother. There's another version that talks to your friends at midnight. Another one that shows up to job interviews. These aren't fake versions. They're all you. You've been doing this your whole life. The mistake most people make is doing it unconsciously. Strategically intelligent people do it on purpose. Think about water. It takes the shape of whatever container it's in. A cup, a river, a lake. It doesn't matter. Water is still water. Your values don't change. Your character doesn't change. Only your delivery does. If someone is analytical, give them data and logic. If they're emotional, connect with their feelings first, before you say a word about facts. If they think in big pictures, paint the vision before you talk about the details. This isn't manipulation. This is communication, intelligence. The people who say, "I just talk the same way with everyone," aren't being authentic. They're being lazy. They're forcing other people to do all the translation work. When you adapt your communication to fit the person in front of you, they feel understood. And people who feel understood trust you more, open up more, and follow your lead more naturally. One warning: adapt your style, never your values. If you find yourself agreeing with things you don't believe or pretending to be someone you're not at your core, you've gone too far. The strongest version of this trait looks like a diamond. Multiple facets, one solid stone. 3. The principle of detachment. What you're not afraid to lose can't control you. Let me paint 2 people in the same negotiation. Person A needs this deal. They've already built their next 3 months around it working out. They've told their family about it. Person B would like the deal, but they've got other options on the table. They're willing to walk if the terms aren't right. Who has more leverage? B, every time. Not because they're more skilled, because they're not desperate. Machiavelli said it bluntly. It's safer to be feared than to be loved when you have to choose. That's a harsh framing, but the point underneath it is solid. Attachment is weakness, not because caring is weak, but because desperation is exploitable. Most of us are quietly controlled by things we're afraid to lose. We accept bad treatment at work because we're afraid to lose the job. We stay in bad relationships because we're afraid of being alone. We say what people want to hear because we're afraid of losing approval. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop being desperate. There's a massive difference. The paradox is this: the less you need something, the more likely you are to get it on your terms. Confident people aren't confident because everything always goes their way. They're confident because they know they'll be okay if it doesn't. Start small. Stop needing to win every argument. Stop needing everyone to like you. Stop needing your plans to go exactly how you imagined. As you practice this, something shifts. People start treating you with more respect because they can sense you can't be easily pressured. The most valuable person in any room isn't the one with the most to gain. It's the one with nothing to fear. 4. Silent leverage. Real power doesn't need to raise its voice. Most people think power is loud, demanding, aggressive. They're wrong. Watch the quietest person in any high-stakes meeting. Not the one who's silent because they have nothing to say. The one who's silent because they're collecting information while everyone else burns energy fighting for airspace. That person usually ends the meeting with the most influence. Silent leverage is about positioning. Instead of telling people what to do, you create situations where they naturally want to do what benefits you. Instead of demanding respect, you make yourself indispensable. Instead of fighting for power, you let people give it to you. In conversation, try this. When someone asks you a difficult question, don't answer immediately. Pause. Look at them. Let the silence stretch for a few seconds. Then respond. That pause changes the weight of everything you say afterward. In negotiations, silent leverage means having alternatives you don't need to mention. You don't have to threaten to walk away. Your comfort with walking away is the threat. In any professional environment, silent leverage looks like consistently solving problems without announcing that you're the problem solver. You just do it, again and again, until people can't imagine getting through the hard stuff without you. This requires patience, real patience. Not I'll wait a few days, patience, but I'm planting seeds, and I'll water them for months, patience. Most people want results immediately. Silent leverage works on a different timeline. But the influence you build this way is the kind that lasts. One thing to be clear on: this isn't passive. You're still acting, still making moves. You're just doing it quietly, which makes it harder to counter. 5. Psychological echo. Stop listening to respond. Start listening to understand. Everyone you meet is carrying invisible weight. Secret fears, unspoken desires, things they can't say directly but can't stop communicating indirectly. Most people are too busy thinking about what they're going to say next to actually hear any of it. Machiavelli observed that men judge by the eye more than by the hand, by what they see, not what they feel. But the people with real influence, they feel it. They pick up what's under the surface. Here's a simple framework. Every person you meet is silently asking 3 questions. Do you see me? Do you understand me? Do you value me? When your words and actions answer yes to all 3, the connection is almost automatic. Psychological echo means reflecting back not just what someone says, but what they mean. If someone says, "I hate my job," most people jump to advice. But if you listen deeper, you might hear, "I feel overlooked. I feel like I've stopped growing. I'm scared. I'm wasting my life." A simple response like, "Sounds like you're ready for something that actually challenges you," hits different than, "Have we tried looking for something new?" Because it shows you heard the real thing, not just the surface words. Once you understand someone's actual fears and desires, you can position everything, your ideas, your suggestions, your requests, in terms that naturally resonate with them, not manipulating them into something bad for them, speaking their emotional language. If they value security, frame your ideas around stability. If they value recognition, frame it around achievement. If they value freedom, frame it around autonomy. Same message, different packaging. That's the whole game. 6. Ambiguous morality. The real world doesn't have clean answers. This is the one most people get wrong. So let me be direct. Ambiguous morality doesn't mean no morals. It doesn't mean doing whatever you want. It means understanding that the real world is complicated. And sometimes the nice choice and the right choice are not the same thing. Example, someone on your team has been quietly lying to clients for months. The kind response is another conversation, more training, another chance. But what about the clients being deceived? What about your teammates who are working with integrity? Protecting everyone else might require making a decision that doesn't feel nice. That's pragmatic ethics. It's not cruelty, it's clarity about what actually matters. Another example, a friend is in a relationship you can see is destroying them. The comfortable response is to be supportive and avoid saying anything hard. But real care sometimes means telling the difficult truth, even when it stings. The shift here is from asking what makes me look like a good person to asking what action leads to the best outcome for the most people. Those are very different questions. Here's the guardrail. Establish your non-negotiables now, before you need them. What lines will you never cross? What consequences are you willing to own? Inside those boundaries, give yourself permission to be strategic, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's unpopular. The goal is never to be liked by everyone. The goal is to be effective and ethical in a world where simple answers often don't hold up. 7. Controlled exposure. In a world of oversharing, mystery is power. Everyone is broadcasting everything now. Every thought, every meal, every opinion, every feeling out there. Permanently, for anyone to form an opinion about. Here's what that creates. An opening for the person who doesn't. Humans are wired to fill in gaps. Psychologists call it the curiosity gap. When information is incomplete, our brains automatically work to complete it, and the story our brain generates is almost always more interesting than reality. When you practice controlled exposure, you create those gaps on purpose. You share enough to build real connection, but not so much that you've handed people your entire playbook. In professional settings, this might look like not showing all your capabilities in week 1. Let people discover what you can do over time. Instead of peaking early, you look like you keep growing. In relationships, it means letting trust earn disclosure. The things you share with your closest friends shouldn't be the same things you tell someone you met 6 weeks ago. In negotiations, it means not revealing all your constraints up front. Information revealed cannot be unrevealed. Once they know it, they use it. Timing matters too. Revealing the same piece of information early in a relationship might seem like bragging. Revealed later, when it solves a problem, it makes you look humble and helpful. Your digital footprint is part of this. Every post, every comment, every photo is a piece of your narrative that you can never take back. The people who manage their reputation well understand that they're always either building or eroding it. There's no neutral. The goal isn't to be mysterious for mystery's sake. The goal is to control your own story. 8. Outcome obsession. Nobody cares how hard you tried. There's a type of person who works incredibly hard on the wrong things and wonders why nothing moves. They want to be right more than they want results. They want to look productive more than they want to be effective. They get attached to their methods instead of their goals. Outcome obsession cuts through all of that. When you approach a disagreement, the first question isn't, how do I win this? It's, what do I actually want from this conversation? Sometimes the answer is changing someone's behavior, and proving them wrong is the worst way to do that. People don't like being cornered into being wrong. They dig in. Sometimes the answer is maintaining a relationship while solving a problem, in which case being right is less valuable than finding something everyone can live with. In professional settings, outcome obsession looks like choosing projects based on impact, not visibility. Making decisions based on what actually works, not what makes you look smart in the meeting. In personal development, it means measuring yourself by results, not effort. Being honest about what's actually working, even when that honesty is uncomfortable. Here's something counterintuitive. Outcome-obsessed people often appear to do less than others. They're not trying to be the busiest. They're trying to be the most effective. They've figured out which 20% of their effort produces 80% of their results, and they ruthlessly prioritize that 20%. The warning, outcome obsession, becomes destructive when you strip ethics out of the equation. Your definition of success has to include how you treated people to get there. When it does, this trait becomes one of the most powerful forces you can develop. Be attached to your goals. Stay flexible about your methods. And when something isn't working, change it without drama. The most resilient people aren't stubborn about their approach. They're stubborn about their destination. The final word, you've just heard the 8 traits. But let me be honest with you for a second. Knowing this stuff and living it are two completely different things. Most people will watch something like this, feel fired up for a day, and then go back to being reactive, oversharing, and emotionally hijacked by every small setback. Don't be that person. Pick one of these 8 traits, the one that resonated the most. For the next 7 days, just practice that one. In your conversations, in how you respond to stress, in how much you share and when. Notice what shifts. Because here's the truth. The world will always have people who play it dirty. What you can control is whether they can play you. The purpose of dark intelligence isn't to become someone who manipulates people. It's to become someone who sees manipulation clearly and can't be touched by it. Not power over others. Power over yourself and your circumstances. That's the real prize. Drop a comment right now. Which of these 8 traits are you going to work on first, and why? I read every single one. If this hit different for you, share it with one person who needs to hear it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time, because this is just the beginning of the conversation. Stay strategic, stay grounded. And remember, true intelligence isn't just being smart. It's being disciplined enough to use your mind when everything in you wants to react.